I remember my son told his dad, my oldest from my practice marriage, told his dad that I was doing CrossFit. And his dad, who is very athletic, and my son is very athletic, said, if your mom is doing CrossFit, then the Pope has just converted to Judaism, because it was so foreign to him and everybody that knew me that I would do something like that.
Welcome to Midlife Dialogues, where we talk with people 50 or older who are doing something really interesting with their life, or otherwise are an inspiration or just fun to learn about. And today we're talking to Debra Gordon. Debra's doing something very interesting with her life. She says she used to be allergic to exercise, but now she's a CrossFit pro and trainer. Welcome, Deb. I am happy to get to talk to you today.
Thanks, Leslie. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I have to tell you, this whole subject is really especially interesting to me because I have that same exercise allergy. But I don't truly believe that you are the same way, because I know that I would literally never become a CrossFit pro or
Oh,
trainer. So we're going to talk about all that. But first, before we get into that, tell me where you live in this world right now.
I live in Norfolk, Virginia, right by the water. I'm 61.
Where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Norfolk, although we've lived a lot of different places and then just moved back there 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And just briefly, tell me about your work.
So I've been a freelance medical writer for almost 24 years now, doing a variety of writing. Most of it these days is working on continuing medical education projects for physicians. But over the years, I've done pretty much anything you can imagine in any therapeutic area you can imagine.
Now let's get into it. What was your relationship to exercise and sports and all of that as you were growing up?
There was no relationship. The only thing I can remember doing was ballet, and I stopped that when I was probably 12. When I was growing up, there was no Title IX. Girls were not encouraged to do anything. Probably in my 20s was when aerobics came about, and I started doing that. My husband and I had separated. We were sharing custody, so on the nights I didn't have our son, I would go do that after work, and then met someone else and got married, and all that went away. So I didn't really start doing anything until probably in my 40s. I had started gaining weight, and I thought it was probably drinking a lot of wine. And I'm like, all right, I'll start doing something. So I started going to the gym. I started with a trainer. She got me to do spin classes, but I hated it. We'd pull up to the gym to go to spin, and I'd be like, so boring. The only reason I was doing it was so I could keep drinking wine. I mean, I just found it boring. And I was the same way in gym class. Hated the uniforms, hated never being chosen for teams, never watched sports on TV. But then I guess it would be in my late 40s at this gym. We were living in Williamsburg, Virginia at the time. And I'd been working with a trainer. I'd been doing the spin classes. One of the coaches started a TRX class, with the pole things. And then he started doing more of a kind of boot camp thing, which I had never encountered. So it was like burpees. I'd never done a burpee in my life. Anyway, I did some of that, still not enamored of anything. And then he and his brother, they were young, had been doing CrossFit out of their garage, which this is 10, 11 years ago. And that's back when a lot of CrossFit was like that. It wasn't mainstream like it is today. So, but they started a little teeny CrossFit in our gym in the spin class, like so small we had to move the bikes back. And somebody said, oh, Deb, you should try this. The workouts are really short. It could be a 10-minute workout. I'm like, time management, great. I only have to be there, half an hour. So I went in, and there was stuff I'd never touched, like barbells and dumbbells and rowers. And I don't know, Matt got me hooked. I was 51.
Okay, now why did that get you hooked? Why did you start enjoying that?
Because first off, the results come so quickly when you have never lifted weights and you start doing it. And first off, it's badass to lift weights. So when you just turned 51, you're staring down the road at basically downhill, and all of a sudden you are able to learn something completely different that you've never done before and see yourself get better at it on almost a daily basis, and see your body do things you never thought your body could do and change. Incredibly empowering. Just such a boost to my sense of self.
So you were going to these really short 10-minute workouts. How
No,
long
they're
before?
not really 10 minutes. That was a ploy. The workouts could be as short as 7 minutes or as long as 30 minutes.
So how long were you doing that before you started loving it?
I started going twice a week, and I was still doing spin. And then I started 3 days a week, and then I gave it up, and it was just all I was doing was was CrossFit 4 or 5 or 6 days a week, probably maybe a couple of months, not long.
Okay, how did you progress from that to actually becoming a fitness trainer yourself?
We moved from Williamsburg to Chicago in 2016. So it was time now to find a new gym. And the more I did it, the more I'm like, I really want to coach this. CrossFit, the main CrossFit offers training programs, weekend training programs, 2 days of intensive classroom and hands-on instruction. And it's called an L1. And I just set it up, went to Atlanta, paid my $1,000, took the program. I didn't actually start coaching till we moved back to Virginia 2 years ago.
And I'm interested in this class you teach. So it's called Strong for Life, right?
Right.
Tell us about that. What sort of people take it? What's the whole philosophy and how is this class set up?
One of the big benefits I have had from CrossFit is my arms look nice. You want to see my arms?
Sure, show us your arms.
I have a lot of muscle and my body fat went way, way down. So it shows. So women would say, what do you do to get those muscles? And I would tell them, I do CrossFit, I lift weights. And they would be like, oh no, I could never do that. These are women my age. I could never do that because CrossFit has this bad rep, right? Or it did. And so I got really tired of that and trying to convince other women to come try it. I'm like, what do you have to lose? Come try one class. Finally, when the gym that we're at now in Norfolk, I just was like, all right, I put together a proposal and a market plan and a market analysis. And I went to the owners and I said, look, I want to do this. Here's how much it'll cost you to buy initial equipment because we would need a little bit of different equipment and which wasn't much. Here's what I'll charge to coach per hour. And the owner said, yeah, let's go for it. So that was May of 2022. We started with 3 classes a week, an hour each. Then we moved to 4 classes. We're getting so big. So we just added 2 more classes. So I have probably close to 20 people that are regulars. Most are women, but we're getting several men now. Almost all of us are 50 plus, but ironically, some of the people in the gym have seen our class and they have started coming to our class because we're having so much fun. Yeah. So we have like 2 or 3 in their early 30s. The oldest person we have is 72. They tell me I've changed their life. Not only is this kind of exercise physically important and rewarding, but a big part of why people do these kind of programs, CrossFit, is because of the community. You tend to go to the same classes every day. You create a community where we do things outside of the gym. They communicate outside of the gym. You know, we get to know each other's, what's going on in each other's lives, who's having a grandbaby, you know, who just got a new boyfriend, and it becomes very intimate. So, and then of course, they are seeing changes in their bodies that they never expected to see. People tell us, right, you're in your 60s. Well, you know, you're getting old. You're just going to have to put up with that. No. You know, I have one woman who started at the very beginning. So she's been doing it a year and a half now. She struggled to get up off the floor. She couldn't squat more than a few inches. She couldn't jump rope. She couldn't jump on a box. These are all things she's doing now. She's deadlifting like 155, you know, and she keeps having us take videos that she can send to her son.
How old is she?
She's 72.
That's terrific. I'm just thinking, and you as a medical writer, right? The things that that's doing for her.
Right. So that's another thing I try to do. I'm always collecting data and studies to show and also to try to get more people in my class that the most important thing we can do as we age is strength training. You can walk until the cows come home. I don't care if you walk 40,000 steps a day. You are not going to be doing what your body needs at our age. There's just no way. You have got to be building muscle and maintaining muscle if you want to be independent. If you want to be able to get up out of the chair without using your hands. If you want to be able to pick up your suitcase and get it overhead in the luggage bin. If you want to carry around your grandkids. I have a 3-year-old and 18-month-old twin grandkids. About 6 months ago, I went to help my son out because my daughter-in-law had gone away for a girls' trip. And they have a 3-story house, big house. The kids play on the bottom floor and I walked up and down those stairs 20 times a day, carrying at least one twin who probably at the time weighed 15 pounds, sometimes carrying the 3-year-old, constantly getting up and down off the floor. And I said to my son, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this if I didn't work out the way I do. I honestly don't know how I would have done it. It's just trying to convince people that they can do it. And, you know, I say, like, what are you afraid of? Every single thing I am going to modify and individualize for you. I am not not going to let you do anything that you're not ready for, that you don't have good form on. If you can't get up off the floor, I'll put something there that you can help yourself up.
What's it like when someone first comes into your class? What do they expect and what do they find?
That first class, I usually make sure a couple of my regulars who are super friendly are going to adopt them, kind of thing. But the number one thing I do is I stick by them. I go over the workout, but I say, Sharon, don't worry. You and I are going to talk. I've got something for you, how you're going to do it. And you just gradually bring them along like that. It gets to the point where they get so used to using low weights. Maybe when they come in, they're like, I'm just going to use the 5-pound dumbbells, to the point that I have to go to them and say, you have no idea how much stronger you've gotten. Or I'll have to bring them over a heavier weight in the middle of a workout because they went too light.
What sort of feedback do you get?
They embarrass me. They literally tell me I changed their life. And I'm like, no, you did. You're the one coming in here 3 or 4 times a week. I just created the opportunity. They have seen their muscle go up, their body fat go down. They have just seen themselves get stronger and more confident in themselves.
What could people be doing who aren't in Virginia, who can't take your class?
A lot more CrossFits now are starting classes like this. We call them master's classes or legends or strong for life or fit for life. Look in your region and call some of the CrossFits and ask about it. Even if you just worked one-on-one with a trainer who understands strength training and particularly understands our bodies as we age, I think it's important, particularly for women, that you're working with someone who also understands how your body changes with menopause. But make sure you're doing one that meets you where you are.
That makes good sense.
The class for sure is the most gratifying thing I've ever done in my life professionally. I would say also it's probably the most important thing I've ever done for myself and my mental health. I have dealt with depression for most of my life, managed with medication and therapy. But when I started doing this, major difference, huge difference, because it addresses all those things that you do when you're depressed, which is self-hatred and self-talk, I'm not good enough kind of thing. It requires you to recognize that you are. It requires you to get out of your head, actually. When I'm having a bad day, I will sit in my car and decide if I'm going to go. I'll be like, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better. I'll walk in. I might even be kind of teary-eyed. By the time I finish that workout, I am 100% better. So mental health-wise, I think it's one of the best things you can do for yourself as well.
Well, thank you so much, Deb. I really enjoyed talking to people that are doing interesting things, and you really are doing something that sounds just perfect for you. So thank you very much. Really fun talking to you. New Midlife Dialogue videos are going to start coming out every other Tuesday now. So our next one will be in 2 weeks, and it will be one more conversation with Debra. Today we talked about what she's doing, and next time we're going to talk more about why and how she's choosing to live her life and what it means to her. Thank you for watching Midlife Dialogues, and we'll see you next time.